I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Bowl Council of Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, August 18th, 2021 to order. Clerk, can we get a roll call?
11 present and 1 absent.
11 present, 1 absent. Please note that Commissioner Anderson is still on the mend. He sends his regards. He's doing well. He had told Commissioner Shaw that he was hoping they could make it tonight, but we're hopeful that he'll be here next week. So he's doing well, though. Commissioner Solich, can we have the prayer and the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Fellow Commissioners, Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which shall greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver Bow. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't think we have any items that are not addressed on the agenda tonight, so I'll move on to the Chief Executive's report. As we all know, we're back to wearing masks on a voluntary basis in here, and the COVID numbers locally are not looking great. I met with the directors and supervisors and elected officials that were able to make it this last week. Got a little loud. All right, and just kind of told them where we're at as far as what we can do locally. And really it's, we're asking people to use precautions, to use masks where appropriate when they're meeting inside with other people, when riding in vehicles with multiple people in vehicles, but it's a voluntary basis when they do that. As far as when people are sick, if they're identified as a close contact, we're asking people to use precaution and self-isolate them, or to quarantine themselves, but we cannot mandate quarantine based on vaccination status. So, you know, if somebody was determined to have been vaccinated, you know, we can't say they can come back to work, and then somebody that was not vaccinated, that they could not come back to work. So we're asking workers to identify if they have somebody that's at home, and then to use precaution whether they choose to come back to work at all. The health department will isolate people if they have been diagnosed with COVID. They do have that right to isolate somebody if that happens. So, and they'll put them in isolation. But you know, we're pretty much asking people to use self-judgment, to use precautions. We all know that the availability of the vaccine is out there, and the kids are going back to school, and that's the one thing. I applaud Montana Tech, Butte School District, and Butte Central on their going forward with mask mandates to start the school year to try to protect the kids as they move forward. So, you know, we're not going back to where we were last year. The bad part is the numbers are starting to go back to where we were last year, and that's a little scary. And so we'll keep everybody apprised as things go on, and if things change, or if we're able to do more, we'll communicate directly with you all. Next week, we're going to have a busy agenda with a lot of presentations, and I have to apologize ahead of time. I will not be here. I will be up in Lewistown at the Montana Infrastructure Coalition mid-year meetings, which we are a voting member, and I need to be at that meeting. But I will be listening and paying attention to the presentations that we have next week, and there'll be some lively debate, I'm sure, this next week when that happens. But I'll be paying attention very closely with that. Also, there's been a lot of community engagement about, you know, community cleanups, different things within the community, and Butte-Silver Bow sometimes gets the brunt of we're not supporting some of the things locally that are happening there. And I kind of want to clear the air on that, is that we support the cleanups that we're able to do with the residents of Butte-Silver Bow. We have never prevented anyone from doing a cleanup in their neighborhood, but we did ask some neighborhoods to wait for a couple weeks for us to be able to support them at the level we did at the Greeley neighborhood and down in the Clarks Park area and up at I'm trying to Commissioner Reardon's district as well. So that's the only thing that we were asking them to do, to wait, is so that we could do that, because we had the Parks and Recreation, we had Community Enrichment, we had lots of available bodies trying to help with those cleanups. But as always, anybody at any time is able to go out into their neighborhoods and work with their neighbor to help them out, and nobody would ever prevent them as that. And so I just kind of want to clear the air on that we are very supportive of what we can do for the neighborhoods, and we're going to try to give everybody the same effort, but we can't do it every single weekend. And so we'll work directly with the people that are a little dissatisfied with what's going on, and we'll work with them, and we'll get the cleanup that they deserve within their neighborhood as well. So with that, I'm going to just kind of...
Approval of the minutes next.
Oh, God, I passed out the approval of minutes. I'm sorry.
That's okay, I was going to wait.
I wanted to go out of order here today. We kind of, it's the COVID fog, right? So I'll close off the Chief Executive's report, and we'll go back to the approval of minutes. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to approve the minutes that occurred on August 4th, 2021 regular meeting and August 11th, 2021 special meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to any public comment on any items on the agenda tonight. If you'd like to come up, please turn on the microphone, state your name, address, and what agenda item you'll be speaking on tonight.
Good evening. My name is John Garrick. I work at Montana Tech. That's my address. I'm there more often than anywhere else. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to address you on behalf of the Root and Bloom Collective. I believe we're number 5 on your agenda, 2021-398. You know, when my wife, Elise, and I came to Butte 14 years ago to teach at Montana Tech, I wondered whether the folks who live here really saw and appreciated the mountains and the historic city in which we live, or did they just take it all for granted? I wondered, because I relished seeing the mountains every day, and I relished experiencing this city every day. And I wondered, do the folks who live here relish everything around us like I did? You know what I learned over the 14 years? They do. Butians don't gush every day with exclamations about the mountains and the city like I did. They have a quiet appreciation and a deep love of place. The people here care about and love this town and the beauty around us, even if they don't act like the over-the-top newbie that I was when I got here. So I'm here tonight on behalf of our little nonprofit, the Root and Bloom Collective, to advocate for the Henry Jacobs House, the historic home of Butte's first mayor in 1879. Mayor Jacobs immigrated to Butte from Germany. He made Butte his home. He became a public servant, just like you are today. When I'm in the Jacobs house, I can almost hear his children running up and down the stairs. I can see Mayor Jacobs meeting with friends and neighbors in his front yard. I think you agree with us that the Jacobs house deserves to be preserved. But more than that, I think Mayor Jacobs would be delighted that his home was continuing to serve the public good. And that is why I'm here tonight. The Root and the Bloom Collective respectfully requests your support in allowing us to lease the Jacobs house from the county for a year with the option to renew in order to create an artists and writers residence that will facilitate arts and humanities programming throughout Butte. Our nonprofit has already invested approximately $8,500 in interior improvements to the Jacobs house to make it a livable space, and our volunteers have given over 900 hours of their time to improve the building. We don't take this responsibility lightly and hope and plan to make Butte proud of our work there. Our Root and Bloom Collective volunteers will oversee the day-to-day management of the Jacobs House. So, on behalf of our Root and the Bloom Collective Board, our staff, Christine and Carrie, and our volunteers, including Mayor Jacobs, because you can really feel his symbolic presence in the house. We're grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any other, anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on any item on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to bid openings, public hearings, and our presentations. We have 3 bid openings tonight, one of which we will, item number 3 will be postponed for a rebid as we had no bidders today. So we'll go to our first communication, number 2021-373, Dory Skokrud, project manager, requesting council of commissioners schedule a bid opening during commissioners meeting on August 18, 2021 for the Butte-Silver Bowl Greenway Cattle Bridge Greenway Service District, contract number 2G-21-01. And County Attorney, do we have proof of publication?
There is proof of publication, and it appears to be in order.
Thank you. And then, let's see. And then, Dory, could you
Yes.
do the bid opening?
Chief Executive Gallagher and members of the commission, I'm Dory Skokrud. I'm the project manager for the Silverbow Creek Greenway. We are in receipt of a single bid for the Cattle Bridge from R.S. Johnson Construction, 3563 Lost Creek Road, Anaconda, Montana.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond for 10% of the bond, and it appears to be in order.
Thank you, Deputy County Attorney Shea.
Chief Executive Gallagher, members of the commission, the bid for the Cattle Bridge by R.S. Johnson Construction is $414,745.00. 414,745.00.
That's $414,745.
Correct.
$745. And that's our only bid?
That's, yes, sir, I'm sorry. Chief
Okay.
Executive Gallagher, yes, we just got the single bid. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, and thank you, Dory, for that. So at this time, I would move to move 2021-373 to, I would assume, the Public Works Department for, or to Dory, the Community Development Department for, no? Okay, tell me what.
Greenway Board.
Excuse me, Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Shaw. The Greenway Service District will review this and make a recommendation. Actually, they will advise the council as to the award of bid. We do have a special meeting to consider this bid coming up in a couple of days. So if it can be referred to the Greenway Service District for review and evaluation.
Thank you. Sorry for that confusion. So I move to move the 2021-373 bid opening to the Greenway Department, and they will come back to this body with their recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anything on the question? Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Dory, what was the engineer's estimate?
Sorry. Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Sorich, and other commissioners. I'm sort of in a flummox here. Our engineer's estimate was $220,361.00.
221,000,
361.
361.
220,361.
got it. So that was 221,361 was the engineer's estimate. Any other questions of commissioners? Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. And a question, Dory. So since I'm glad Mr. Sorich asked that question. Is there anybody else that does bridges then, or is that final? That's just curious. Oh, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Michelle.
So Commissioner O'Neill, I think I can help you with the answer on that. So it will get referred back to the Greenway Service District Board, and they will review this, and if they choose to, we could reject that bid and send it back out for bid again. And there, you know, it's hard to say if anyone will rebid or not rebid or get other bids during that time, but that could be an alternative. But, you know, as we all know, construction prices and things, materials probably affected the way this went. But they have the right to reject this. I hope I didn't step on your toes there. Director
Chief
Scope.
Executive Gallagher, absolutely not.
Okay.
Obviously, this is a concern to me, but we will take that back to the board. Also, you know, consult with our engineers, and we do have a commitment to install this bridge. I'm concerned about us not being able to meet this commitment, but also the cost of the project. So that's something that the board will have to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of commissioners? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to refer this back to the Greenway Service District Board. Could commissioners please vote?
Nothing's
I think we have a
happening,
little
Jason.
technical difficulty right now. Let's,
Close the vote. Okay, and reopen the vote. Open it.
okay, could commissioners please vote?
Shut this. This will just take a moment. Sorry.
Okay. We'll give them a second here, see if we get it corrected. If not, we'll do a thumbs up, thumbs down. Technology makes our lives easier, right? Okay, we'll move on and we'll just do a voice vote on this, or a thumbs up for yay.
Yay.
Any nays? 11-0, motion passes.
The
Thanks,
system
Dory.
came unplugged. I think someone stepped on it. I
Okay.
don't know. It could have been me, but
It's all right. Could have been me when I was
I
looking
just
for the
wanna note it
cookies.
that it wasn't my fault.
All right, we'll move on to our second bid opening, communication number 2021-389, Pat Holland, Government Buildings Manager, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence for a bid opening on August 18, 2021, regarding the Butte-Silver Courthouse and LEA boiler replacement. Deputy County Attorney Shea, do we have proof of publication?
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioners, there is proof of publication, and it appears to be in order.
Thank you, Deputy County Attorney Shea. And Mr. Holland.
Chief Executive Gallagher, members of the commission, we've received one single bid from Lockmer Plumbing and Heating Utilities Incorporated, 401 South Main, Butte, Montana.
Commissioner Gallagher, members of the council, there is a 10% bid bond, and it appears to be in order.
Thank you, Deputy County Attorney Shea.
Chief Executive Gallagher, members of the council, the loan proposal from Lockmer Plumbing and Utilities is for $124,850. 124,850.
That's $124,850.
Correct.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to refer this Communication 2021-389 to the Public Works Department. Would that be correct?
Government buildings.
And await their response to the
Yeah,
bid.
government buildings.
Government building.
Government buildings, and bring their recommendation back to this body. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I'll ask the question. Mr. Holland, what's the engineer's estimate?
I couldn't hear you, Michelle?
The engineer's estimate, did I miss it?
There is no engineer's estimate, as this is a replacement.
Oh, okay.
It's not a new construction, it's a replacement boiler.
Thank you. Any other questions of the commissioners? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to refer this back to the government buildings. Could commissioners please vote?
I'll fix the screen.
And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to number 3, communication number 2021-390, Pat Holland, Government Buildings Manager, requesting council commissioners for their concurrence of the bid opening on April 18th regarding the Motherlode Theater fire suppression and enunciation systems. This bid will be postponed as we had no bidders onto this. So Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would move that we refer 2021-390 back to the committee whole and hold that in abeyance until we get the new date of the bid opening.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to refer back to the committee of the whole. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? And clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to tonight's consent agenda. We'll go committee repose, section A, 1 through 4, and B, 1 through 27. Do we have any friendly amendments or segregations? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I would like to segregate communication number 18, 2021-411. Thank you.
That'd be number 18, communication number 2021-411. Any other segregations? Seeing none, Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to approve the consent agenda A 1 through 4 and B 1 through 27 with the exclusion of item 18, 2021-411.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving back to communication number 18, communication number 2021-411, Mary McCormick, Historic Preservation Officer, requesting Council of Commissioners for their authorization for a bid opening on September 8, 2021. Committee of the Whole agenda for the Caretaker's House Restoration Project. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I assume this must be the caretaker's house at the Basin Creek Reservoir?
I would, yes, that is correct.
Thank you. I guess my question is we received the insurance money for this house and the grant money for this house probably well over 2 years ago. And materials at that time were substantially lower than they are today. And we're going to get a bid opening on September 8th, which puts us into the fall season and going into winter. And materials are much higher now. We're going into the fall season. It just seems a rather awkward time to have a bid opening for something when materials are at their highest amount and contract work is winding down. So I really have no questions. I don't mind holding this in abeyance. But for some of the new commissioners, I just would like to let them know that I think there's about $170,000, which would have been sufficient to repair this house 3 years ago. And I don't know if $170,000 today will do what we need to do on this house. So with that being said, I just was more of a comment than a concern, but I would also make a motion at this time to hold in abeyance communication 2021-411. Thank you.
We have a motion to hold this in abeyance. We have a motion and a second. Anything on the question of commissioners? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to sections 2, ordinance and resolutions for final reading. Resolution number 2021-25. Clerk, could you please read the caption?
Resolution number 2021-25. A resolution authorizing and approving the transfer of real property described as lots 20 and the west 14.5 feet of lot 21 of block 6 of the Smith and Kessler addition located at 7 West Agate Street, parcel number 323400 in the city county of Butte-Silver, Montana, to Amy Klein in accordance with the provisions of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to place Council Resolution 2021-25 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass this on to final reading. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to section 3, ordinance and resolutions, emergency suspension of the rules for final passage, resolution number 2021-34. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move for the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passing Resolution 2021-34 by waiving subsection 7 of Rule 36 of the Rules and Order of Business of the Council of Commissioners, thereby having it considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay. Moving on to resolution number 2021-34. Clerk, please read the caption.
Resolution number 2021-34. a resolution setting the 2022 fiscal year annual salaries of the chief executive, the county attorney, sheriff, clerk and recorder, treasurer, assessor, city judge, justice of the peace, auditor, superintendent of schools, clerk of the district court, coroner, and members of the council of commissioners, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Resolution 2021-34 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move this to final reading. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to any public comment on any public matter that is not on the agenda tonight. If you'd like to come, please come up to the mic, state your name, address, and speak to the council. Seeing none, please note all the calendar of events, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Great meeting. Have a good night. Congratulations.